hear this, what have you done for me lately? What do you guys do at the Aerotropolis? Well, I want to let you know. First and foremost, we respond to all of the state RFPs on your behalf. A number of the projects that we've submitted Taylor sites for have been RFPs that we received from the state of Michigan. Once we get through that initial RFP process, we do a lot of site identification, tours if the company's interested, a lot of infrastructure analysis. I mentioned that as part of a broader project. We do regional market data and demographic information. These companies always want to know what the workforce is in the area. GDP per capita, all this type of local data that isn't accessible to them otherwise. We do a lot of intergovernmental work. These companies need help connecting with your planning department, your permitting department, your local economic developer, and we can help facilitate those introductions at the government level as well as at the private level. But a lot of these companies also need introductions to local engineering firms, environmental firms, attorneys, lawyers, and we can help facilitate that business development work, which is very valuable to the company for obvious reasons. It's also very valuable to the local companies that are getting that business, and that helps us identify some potential private sector investors. The other thing I hear is I never, and I'm paraphrasing what some of the other communities have told me, not only do we not know what you're up to, what you're doing, we don't know the success that you've had. We never hear from you. So going forward, we will be tracking in real time, and this is information that will be available to you at a moment's notice, capital investment, job creation, the monetary value of the incentives that we've approved, and the property tax revenue generation that's resulting from the projects that we're bringing into the region. We're tracking a suite of other metrics internally, but that's more activity-based publicly. Those are the metrics that matter, and those are the metrics that we will be providing going forward. So what's changed? This is my last slide, guys. I know it's been a long presentation, but quite frankly, I don't think anybody's been here to talk to you in a while, and there's a lot of animosity out there about what the Aerotropolis is, and I think it's hard to change perception in 10 minutes. So I appreciate you bearing with me. What's changed? Previously, fragmented leadership. When I walked through the door on March 6th, I was the 5th leader in 3.5 years. Awfully tough to drive change or drive results when the strategic priority or the implementation plan changes every 6, 7, 8 months. Going forward, unless the board has other intent, I'm not going anywhere. We have a full-time leadership team in place. It's myself and Marco Salamoni, who I think you probably met. Marco's been with the organization for about 1.5 years. He heads up all of our business development efforts and is key in those RFP responses to the state. The infrastructure issues, which we've talked about, going forward, we've got the LDFA, limited private sector investment in the past. Going forward, we hope to get private sector investment up to at least 50% of our budget to help fund those business development activities. And I think I mentioned this already. We've been a very reactive organization in the past, and going forward, with sufficient funds, we will be much more proactive in the marketplace. So I will close and answer any questions if you have.
Okay, I have some questions. Because yeah, you're right. We always do want to know what bang we're getting for our buck here, because we do annual fee to that. So you mentioned 11 sites in Taylor were promoted in the last, since you've been there?
Not just promoted, but they were submitted as part of an RFP.
So those are all,
on
so
real.
I just want to clarify, so those are all city-owned sites, correct? Not privately owned sites?
No, could be city or
Could be
privately
both,
owned.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
If we know they're on the market, then that's a site that we might submit as part of a RFP.
So a private owner could benefit from you promoting their services. Is there any payment that they make to Aerotropolis for that?
No.
Okay. And then you said there was 9 projects and 2 still active. Can you tell us what those 9 projects are, or at least some of those 9 projects?
I can tell you what the project names are.
Okay.
I don't have the memory capacity to tell you what each project is. I can certainly send George maybe an update tomorrow, kind of summarizing what each project is. Industry, estimated capital investment, job creation, would that be helpful?
Yes, that would be,
Okay.
yeah.
It's
Did
not-
Aerotropolis subsidize any of those? Because you talked about subsidizing the Amazon project at $6.2 million. And, so did you subsidize any of these 9 projects that were done in Taylor?
No, because, so to be clear, the sites that we submitted for Taylor sites are not necessarily projects that are in the works.
Okay.
They're RFPs, it's the initial inquiry into what's available.
So it's not necessarily 9 completed projects that were done here in Taylor, it was
Correct.
just 9 submissions?
Correct.
Okay.
And of those 9,
there any-
7 are still active. No,
Okay, but they're just active, so I mean, they could be something, but they're not.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then going back to like, I wanted to talk really quickly, I had a question about the Amazon. When you talk about collecting tax dollar, okay, first of all, that site is at Vining and Wickham, I believe, right?
It is.
Okay, that is a
Well,
green
it's-
site too, isn't it?
It's north of there.
Okay.
Technically, it's what will be
It's that
Vining and
northwest corner,
E-Course.
right? Oh, okay, Vining
Yeah.
and E-Course.
Yeah, which doesn't exist currently.
Okay, so they're investing $140 million, but that includes getting the site ready, and then, so you talked about subsidizing them at $6.2 million and kind of collecting tax dollars for, but there's nothing on that site, so where are you capturing the tax dollars from?
Right, so the way an LDFA works, or a TIFA,
Yeah.
quite frankly, there's a base taxable value, and any increase in taxable value over the next 15 years
Okay,
is considered increment tax revenue. It's
Right.
revenue that wasn't there previously,
okay,
and we're able to access 50% of the state tax on the
Okay.
site.
okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just, no, I thank you, Rob, for coming out.
Yeah.
You know, just like you said, there's been a lot of turnover with Aerotropolis. I mean, for the last 4 years that we've been here, I mean, Aerotropolis has created a new executive director through the door every year, and then we know that that person would not be there the next year, so.
I hope that's not the case
Well,
now.
I'm hoping not. But, no, I mean, this is the best outlook that we've received so far, I mean, from Aerotropolis in general. But I kind of want to dig deeper into the MEDC partnership with
Sure.
Aerotropolis, and kind of what that looks like, especially around the Renaissance issuances and things of that nature. So what type of agreement is there with the MEDC, and especially with regards to Renaissance?
Sure, so to clarify, there's no agreement yet, right?
Oh, okay.
We don't have a contract signed, but I can talk about what the proposal was,
Okay.
right? And it goes back to how we're currently funded and how we need to be funded going forward to do true business attraction, right?
Sure.
Because again, one of the reasons we haven't been successful is because we haven't had the money to actually do anything other than sit there and answer the phone when it rings, and that's no way to conduct business. So the proposal to the MEDC was a 3-year commitment, a 3-year financial commitment at a decreasing rate. So year 2 will be smaller than year 1, year 3 will be smaller than year 2. At the same time, our private sector investment solicitation will ramp up at the same rate as the MEDC investment is ramping down. So at the end of 3 years, we're still going to have the same amount of funding as we did in year 1 with the state, only the state won't have any money in the game at that point, and all of that additional funding, let's call it, will be coming from the private sector. So first and foremost, it's a private, it's a stimulation of financial capital up front, which buys us time to increase our private sector investment. The reason I did that is because fundraising is a full-time job, and I didn't want my job to be that. I didn't think that that was the most valuable use of my time. Marco and I have to be in the market meeting with companies doing business development. And if I'm meeting with a local company about investing in the Aerotropolis, that means I'm not investing with a potential company. So it buys us some time to do business development while we simultaneously ramp up private sector investment. The second piece was the MEDC joining our board. So they will come and be an 11th member of our board of directors and have a say in the strategic direction of the program, which will tie us more closely with some of the activities that they're doing, and that just benefits everybody involved. The closer we work with the state, the more involved in their efforts we will be. Specifically, and this is the third point, all of their site selection work. So the state manages a fairly comprehensive site selection engagement program that participating communities and regional economic development organizations can participate in. You have to pay your own way, but it's plug and play, so to speak. And the proposal that we submitted to them will help allow us to engage in that site selector program.
So if the agreement is agreed to by the MATC and Aerotropolis, you know, basically within those 3 years and weaning off of their support is contingent basically on the interlocal agreement, right? I mean, the interlocal agreement that those communities have to agree to.
It's contingent upon, that's actually good, it's contingent upon our ability to solicit private sector investment.
Sure.
Every year we have a certain target to hit, and if we don't hit that in year 1, then they want to invest in year 2.
Right.
So we are on the hook, but that's not part of the interlocal agreement. That's just in the contract that we will sign with the state.
So the interlocal, I guess,
So
let
it's
me kind of
limiting,
clarify
so
this.
the interlocal agreement was limiting to your ability to
Yeah.
attract private sector business.
It was.
Correct. So you want to change that.
Yes, so the way the current interlocal agreement is written, private sector companies can only invest at a dollar amount that is so high that it's almost embarrassing to throw out. And we've never been able to recruit a single private investor at that level. So we are basically eliminating the private sector investment schedule, which will allow us to be more flexible with companies on a case-by-case basis.